Hello, hello.
Carla, hello.
It's
Uh,
been a
Happy New
while.
Year. It
Happy
has
New
been a while.
Year. Yeah, and we're
Um,
not together. All right.
we aren't together. I was trying to think about what we did do sort of that best of episode, but our last traditional episode we were in Austin together, right when it felt like everything was starting to close in, and now things have closed in, right?
Exactly.
It
Exactly.
feels like COVID is everywhere.
Mhm.
Um, it, I will say the number of people that I know who have had brushes with it or who have had it is probably up 10 to 20 fold
Dang.
easily.
Yeah. Yeah. I know a lot of people with it right now. So,
Yeah,
but this,
you know, and I think some of our guests know too that I've got kids that are in our schools, and they were all remote all last year. And if I made them go remote again, I think that they'd have some serious words with me. So there's like a daily conflict. It's also a daily privilege to debate whether how I feel about sending my kids to school that day.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
it feels pretty crazy. So happy New Year, like I was saying.
Right. Yes. Happy New Year. I'm glad to be back. I'm glad we're back at this. You,
Yeah,
you 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 named it season 2 before we went live, and I like the sound of it. Season 2.
right. We our guest today actually I think has some similar thoughts on schooling and COVID. So I think without further ado, I'd like to
I know.
introduce
Let's do it.
them. Yeah, our friend Jeff Palladino, principal
Jeff.
in the Bronx. Jeff, I'm deliberately not saying the name of your school because I know that you take great pride in it. So tell us about the school that you're the principal at.
Oh, hey, Carla and Chris. I'm Jeff Palladino, and the school that we're named after is right over my shoulder. Oh, the other side, over my shoulder here. Miss Fannie Lou Hamer. So we're Fannie Lou Hamer Freedom High School in the Bronx, New York. And yeah, we do take great pride in being named after Miss Hamer for many reasons. But yeah, it's always an honor to walk through the doors or sit at my desk and look up and to see her and you know the idea that we're named after an American icon who fortunately is getting more and more recognition last couple of years. And I know there's a big PBS documentary coming out on February 22nd that we're looking
Yeah,
forward
I love
to.
it.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
sharing with our students, and so that should be really good. Actually, some of it was actually filmed in our school. So yeah, we're excited about that.
Let us know. I'll look into it on myself on PBS website. But if you get information about air date, like we'll definitely shout that out.
Yeah.
Jeff,
I think it's Fannie Lou Hamer is America, and that's what it's called.
very cool. Jeff, brought you in to talk about COVID today in the Bronx, in New York City, in the nation. But before we
Never
do
heard
that,
of it.
I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about another tragic incident in the Bronx. There was a fire there over the weekend that I think I read it was the most devastating fire in New York City in the last 30 years.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, horrible. I mean, we're still have our feelers out there for any of our students who've been impacted. We haven't heard anything yet, so that doesn't necessarily mean anything. But sometimes news like that takes a while to come out, just because of people are in the immediacy of making sure they have a place to live and a place to stay. And I have heard from an alumni or two um, who weren't directly impacted, but had family and friends who were, and so it's just horrific. And impacted large immigrant community too that lived in that building. So I know there's lots of need right now for the families that lived in that building who were basically unable to go back. But just tragedy.
on that topic, I wanted to shout out our friends at the Bronx Community Foundation. If you're in New York, they are taking food and supply donations to send out to folks. If you're not in New York and want to provide monetary support, go to thebronx.org /donate or just thebronx.org, and they're really helping collect a lot of this stuff for folks. So I'm gonna, Jeff, if you don't mind, I'm gonna leave this up for the remainder of the conversation, just so folks have it. But let's continue with
much more important than me, of course.
Listen, I wanted to start by asking you a question. What percentage of your students are in school today?
Oh, well, I didn't check the numbers yet, but it looks looks like more students. Last week was about, I want to say 50% was the average, but Friday we had a big snowstorm and that didn't help us at all. There was probably only about a quarter of the kids in on Friday. But I would say probably somewhere between 50 and 60% today.
Okay.
There seemed to be more kids coming into the building today than there was last week, coming off of the break.
And I know
for many reasons, we have a bunch of, if I could just go, like, we probably have like 30 to 40 kids right now quarantining because either they're COVID positive or they're unvaccinated and they were exposed to someone who is COVID positive, or so there's we have a lot of kids who are not in the building because of quarantine status too. So it's and then obviously we have students who families are concerned about sending them to school. Either they can't afford to get sick for whatever reason. They're single parent, and they're working, they can't take off work if kids are sick, or they don't, they're just, so some people have made a conscious effort not to send their kids to school too at this time, just because they don't want to take the risk.
Before we went live, you were sharing how you have, I don't know what the collaboration is, but there's the vaccination, the testing, and the booster outside of the school. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think every school should have that or access to.
Yeah, we're a school that's lucky to have a lot of partnerships, and one of our partnerships is Children's Aid Society. So Children's Aid, actually, it's not society anymore; it's just Children's Aid. It just shows me how long I've been around. It used to be called society, but Children's Aid is our partner as a community school in New York City, and they do tremendous amounts of work with our school and our student body. Everything from free eyeglasses for kids. Free eye screening, to medical screenings, to college counselors, to tutors, to opportunity coordinators. They really provide our school with so many things that we wouldn't be able to do just with our own budget and resources. And so this week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right outside the building, right on Jennings Avenue, street where our school's located, is testing, vaccination, and booster van. So we reached out to all of our students to say, hey, if you're not vaccinated, now is the time to do it. It definitely seems like there's been an uptick in interest to get vaccinated, as opposed to back in September, where there was a little bit less than the feeling was than there is now. And for people to get boosted, obviously, teenagers have been boosted, teenagers that have been vaccinated for a while and are eligible for boosters. And so, given the opportunity for kids to get boosted, just in case they become COVID positive, the symptoms will be a little bit less. And so we're really thankful that the testing and the vaccinations are right outside our building. They're here till 5:00 tonight, tomorrow, and Wednesday. So when kids get out of school, they can go. Parents can come. Family members. There are 4 schools in this vicinity. So I saw a couple of little kids there with their parents getting tested this morning, and just open to all local community members and our staff. And so just, the opportunity for Children's Aid to help us, try to continue to keep the community safe is so, we're really lucky.
Jeff, as of January 1st, you have new leadership in New York City. The CDC seems like they're changing their guidelines, pretty frequently. But in the end, your students and their parents, they know you, they know Jeff. So how do you lead in this time? What's your messaging to your community?
Well, I mean, the first thing is, obviously we care deeply about the kids' academic and intellectual work that they do in the school building. And that's always been important, always will be important. But also it's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs right now. Right now, we're also super concerned about just keeping people safe, and keeping people safe in the building, and we're happy people are in the building. I mean, that's, remote learning was not an enjoyable experience. And when we came back last year for the last 11 weeks, we really had we had about about 160, 100, almost like 160, 180 kids back in the building. And that was great because we really had fun and, did stuff with them. And like, it was just did good real world learning back again. And it was enjoyable. And now, there's no 100% guarantee we could keep people safe. There's no silver bullet here. This is all like mitigation of factors, right? Like, we're going to wear our masks. We're going to have one kid in the bathroom at a time. We're going to hand sanitize. We're going to, keep kids in pods. So in case there is a case, it doesn't spread throughout other places. We're going to do screenings in the morning when young people come in. We're going to have advisors keep good contact with kids and parents to make sure if someone's positive, we know, and we could, quarantine. So like, there's no one silver bullet, but all of the things that we've put in to mitigate factors are hopefully helping us as much as possible. I mean, when we were back last year, 11 weeks, we only had one case. And then when we were in the summer, we had 6 weeks in the summer, we had 250 kids. We had a very vital, very, very, robust summer program here. And we only had one case. Again, just like the last week we had a case. With Omicron, that is certainly not going to happen. I mean, it's just the transmissibility is just off the charts. And so there's, I also have to be open and honest with folks saying we're going to have cases. Like, there's just no doubt about we're going to have cases this week and next week. And it looks like, for a little while. And our job here is to minimize them as much as possible. But it's certainly going to happen no matter what. And so, how do you keep school moving while you're changing the tires at the same time? So it's a challenge, but it's we're a community and it's all we got. We got to all kind of like just pull together through this difficult time and try to get through it as much as possible.
Jeff, wanted to thank you not only for being here today, but in times when school visits were more welcome, hosting Carla and I at your wonderful school. When things get better, I would suggest reaching out to Jeff and Fannie Lou Hamer Freedom High School. I've not yet seen the beautiful murals that adorn the front of your school now, but I want to check those out too. Wonderful murals of Fannie Lou Hamer. So Jeff, I'm looking forward to visiting again. Appreciate you, buddy.
Thank you.
Chris and Carla.
Carla always laughs at me because I awkwardly kick people out of the conversation, but bye. I'll find a better way to do it at some point. But Carla, before we wrap things up, I wanted to again remind folks that to support the fire relief efforts in the Bronx, please visit the Bronx Community Foundation at thebronx.org. Mm-hmm. All right, Carla. If I could steal Jeff's joke that he said before the show,
yes,
but not on the show. What a way to start a new year. Jeff had said to us offline, it's not cup of joy, it's cup of arsenic. So I'll credit to Jeff for at least retaining a sense of humor during this time. So, Carla, any final words?
Be kind to one another. I think that's, yes, people aren't home.
Yeah. And I should say that as we've learned more about this series, Carla and I had a great meeting last week where we started planning out some of our guests for February. I think we're going to have some really exciting and engaging conversations to look forward to. So look for some announcements about that. Yes. With that, have a wonderful rest of your day and enjoy your cup of arsenic or your cup of joy, whichever your preference may be.